I'm thinking about when I was about 12, must have been the mid-70s. I'd be sitting at my nan's house and we'd be watching World at War on the television on a Sunday afternoon. About this time now, coal fire would be heaped up. We'd be all sitting there full of Yorkshire puddings and just chilling out in front of the fire, watching World at War. Laurence Olivier's dulcet tones telling us all about Mussolini and Hitler and Pearl Harbor, ships going down in the sea, Stokers, Spitfires, all flying around. Pictures from Auschwitz with bulldozers shoveling up bodies. That's what I'd be watching on a Sunday afternoon. And even then, when I was a kid, I used to always think, how did they ever get to that point? Why did they ever get to that point of getting to war like that? I could never understand it. I used to look at these images of these black and white films and think, they must have been crazy, those people. They can't have had any sense. And now, with all the fake news, propaganda, lies, stuff that's coming out on TV, the briefings from the White House, they don't seem real, they seem surreal, like a comedy show gone wrong. But it's all happening in real time, and these people are standing around Trump, his generals, and they look like the angels of death standing around, and they just look like those fellas that I used to think were crazy on them old black and white films. I read in a comment the other day, somebody said, we are bad, deep down we're bad, and every now and then we have to get some lunatic like Hitler or Mussolini to create antibodies, because we get bad, we do bad things, and then we learn from it for a while and we get antibodies against the evil, and everything's good for a while till everyone starts dying off and everyone forgets all about it again, and then once again someone else appears from the mud and suddenly everyone's following them and chanting and talking about war. And after the Second World War as well, people said, this is enough now, this is enough craziness, let's try and make the society a little bit better. And some good things came out of it, like for Britain we got the National Health Service, which promised the working man health care because he just spent 5 years at war. And so I was brought up in the 60s, and after the Second World War and this Cuban crisis, there was lots of antibodies in the system, and that spurred the hippie movement, peaceniks in the late 60s, 70s. And this kind of liberalism was born. And I've been thinking about this liberalism. It always has been a nasty, bad world. However you look at it, we kill things to eat. It's all competition, it's the law of the jungle. And I sometimes wonder if the antibodies have worn off now, because we've forgotten how bad it can get. And perhaps liberalism is just a sugar coating that we created to make the pill of life go down a bit easier, because it is a dog-eat-dog world in a way, but liberalism tends to try and make it a bit smoother. In the olden days, when you went for an operation, you just go into a room and bite on a stick, and if you were lucky you got a swig of rum or something before they sawed your leg off. And even now today, if you have to get your leg amputated, they still use the same tools. It's still a fella sawing your leg off, but it's made a little bit more bearable because they knock you out and put you to sleep and give you painkillers. So what this dog-eat-dog world's about is pretty similar to a farmer, really. You think about a farmer, he's got his chickens and his pigs and he feeds them, and then one day he steals the chickens' eggs and slits the pig's throat and makes some sausages. He lives from them, and in the old style way, that's kind of fair enough. 200 years ago, they'll all be living together in the barn, keeping each other warm, and that was the price the cows had to pay for the free food they get and the man scaring the wolf off. So it was kind of a symbiotic relationship in a way. But with industrialisation, we see it in farms for chickens and pigs, all put together in sheds and used like machines, really, to make money, basically, for somebody to make money. So it's not a symbiotic relationship, it's pure exploitation then. And that's what's happened in the world. There's always certain people who exploit the majority, and you might call it having a job or having a decent job. And it's fair enough if you've got a decent job with decent benefits and decent pay and everyone can afford to live okay, no problem. But when it starts turning into a human battery farm, which is what it's like in the world today, that's where it gets bad. That's where all the fucking shit starts happening, and that's why we have wars. Ends up with a handful of people with all the money and all the rest of the people being exploited. This liberalism I was telling you about, this sugar coating on the pill of dog eats dog, maybe that's gone now, because everywhere you look in the world there's all these right-wing strong governments coming along. Turkey, America, see what's going to happen in France, Italy, and it's all back down to the dad with a big stick who's going to beat the shit out of you if you've been a naughty boy. Because, like I said about the National Health Services, they're still doing the same thing, like sawing your leg off but making it less painful. And behind all the states, at the end of the day, it's just like the really drunken dad beating the shit out of you at the end. Patriotism come from pater, father. The father figure telling you what to do. Authority. And authority says you have to do it this way, you have to do it my way, or you're going to get a big stick, you're going to get beaten up or killed. And even all the systems today, even though we've sweetened the pill a little bit, but if you do something wrong, you get locked up by some thug type guy, or some kind of state sponsored thugs come and kick your front door down and come into your house and drag you off and lock you up somewhere. And the reasons these things can happen can be just that you're on the wrong side, because you do not believe what the government line is, and then suddenly you become an enemy. And that's what's happening now. There's becoming a split between what does Trump always say, the bad dudes, the bad guys. And if you disagree with the government in charge, you are one of the bad guys. And all these new laws come in, and the good guys, the ones in charge, the ones with the big stick, can do what they want to you, because you are one of the bad guys on the other side. And we've seen it all throughout history, with every single person who's been in charge. There's always been the scapegoats, the bad guys. And that's what the scary thing is. And I've got a horrible feeling that I will be on the wrong side of this new terror. And a lot of people will be finding themselves on the wrong side and then thinking, oh, I better go over to the other side, otherwise I'm going to get trouble. And that's how these things grow. That's how you ended up in the Second World War, with all the Germans slavishly following Hitler and doing the Sieg Heil, because if they didn't, they would be on the side of the bad guys, and they'll get locked up as well. And that's how pernicious it is. That's how it starts to happen. And before you know it, everybody's in the shit. And it comes so sneakily, so it creeps in the door.